Hey there, and welcome to this AER Revolt draft. A little bit about me. My name's Dave, Dave Whitelaw. I used to draft an awful lot back in the day, sort of Ravnica, Lorwyn block, around about that sort of period of time, and I was pretty good. Consistently sort of made PTQ top 8s, things like that. I was back in the old qualifying system. I haven't played Magic for quite a few years and got back into it due to some guys who are playing locally. You are going to be watching my first ever AER Revolt draft full stop. First time streaming and first time drafting this format, so that should be very interesting. And the point of doing this is kind of twofold. The first thing is you get to see the mistakes I make and hopefully learn from them. And also you will hopefully I will get some feedback from you guys that watch and perhaps learn things and pick up on things that I wouldn't get to otherwise. So that's the thought process. I was going to have the webcam up, but I can't really seem to get it to work on my MacBook with OBS. It seems to be playing up a little bit. And actually sometimes I find when I'm watching draft streams that the webcam can be a little bit distracting anyway. So just audio here, no fancy graphics or anything like that yet. I'm just giving this a little spin for the first time, and we'll see how we get on. We're going to do a Swiss draft league, so you will get to watch the draft and then all 3 matches, and follow my mistakes and hopefully successes along the way. So let's go straight into this. Just going to wait for the queue to fill up. Hopefully it should do so pretty quickly. I do have an idea of kind of where I want to be colour-wise in AER Revolt. I've watched a lot of drafts, both online. I made use of the likes of Channel Fireball, watching some of the draft videos on there, but also today's Monday, the 6th, I think it is, Monday the 6th of February. So we're just out the back of the first Pro Tour of the year. Obviously watched a lot of the coverage for that, watched some really interesting drafts during that, and yeah, I think it's an interesting format. I think there's certain things that have came to light over the course of the Pro Tour, which weren't clear even in the first weeks of the draft format before that. So the importance of the implements, for example, seem to be very, very important. I've been able to reliably trigger Revolt is something which isn't necessary as such, but it does seem to be something that players are incentivized to make happen, and the implements are one of the best ways to do that. So I mean, I guess the difference between doing draft leagues on Magic Online these days compared to drafting in the likes of a Grand Prix or a Pro Tour are the fact that we no longer play in our pods. So hate drafting becomes more or less irrelevant. I'm actually a big fan of draft leagues, but others may differ. Okay, so let's have a look at this first pack we've got here. Cards I'm looking at. Scrap Trawler I'm not so sure about. It does seem powerful, but I think there's perhaps better options here. Shielded Ether Thief, very good. Spire Patrol, very good. But I'm personally never a fan of taking a gold card first pick. It needs to be something very, very special indeed for me to do that, and I'm not sure that quite meets the standard there. Dawn Feather Eagle I'm looking at very closely here. I'm a big, massive fan of that. Scrounge and Bandar's the other card I really, really like here, although I do think Dawn Feather Eagle's probably a little bit stronger. I don't know, I think it's pretty close between those two cards. I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick one of those two. And I think Dawn Feather Eagle's probably where I want to be here. Enraged Giant is also not terrible, but I think Dawn Feather Eagle's where we want to be. Yeah, we'll go for Dawn Feather Eagle here and see where that takes us. Okay, let's have a look and see what we have here. We've got Sly Requisitioner is an interesting card, but not something I'm desperately keen on taking here. Yeah, I mean, it's good if you can get all the revolt guys. I think Druid of the Cowl's strong. Ether Stream Leopard's also strong. I don't think Ether Inspector makes the cut here. I really like Accelerating. Oh, of course, Untethered Express. Missing that. I can't even believe I didn't see that. Untethered Express, obviously a massive, massive, massive bomb. And we should have spotted that a little bit quicker, I think. I'm obviously going to take the Untethered Express here. It's a ridiculous card. I'm very, very, very happy to have it. I should have spotted it a little bit quicker, but the Untethered Express is basically a mythic uncommon in this set. I mean, it attacks as a 5/5 trampler. It's only got crew 1, and it's a very easy pick here. It also leaves us open color wise. Okay, so options here. Shock is obviously something that we're generally interested in. Spire Patrol becomes a lot better when, you know, it looks like with Dawn Feather Eagle, we're seeing Spire Patrol. It kind of matches up with one of their colours. It's a very powerful effect. It's a flyer, keeps us in the sky. Shielded Ether Thief again is very, very good. Leaving the Dust isn't terrible here. Shock would be the other card I'd like to look at. I think Spire Patrol's just better here. Gives us more options. I think I'd generally rather be white-blue than white-red in this format, from what I've watched of other drafts. So I think Spire Patrol's the pick here. It's close. I can definitely see taking Shock here over Spire Patrol. This could be the wrong pick. So I guess we'll just stick with Spire Patrol and see where that takes us. Okay, Fatal Push. And Caught in the Brights, I think, is the pick here. Fatal Push is 5 tickets, which is worth considering. That's 4 tickets now. I mean, I am tempted to take Fatal Push simply because of the value, and that is something I have to consider when I draft. It's not something you won't see with the pros, but something that I have to consider is that Fatal Push is basically a free booster. But Caught in the Brights is almost certainly the better pick here, and also it ties in very well with Untethered Express. Do you know what? I think I'm going to take Caught in the Brights, which is the correct pick. I mean, Fatal Push at 4 tickets is incredibly tempting, but I think Caught in the Brights will stick. We'll play properly, and we'll take the hit for that. But Caught in the Brights is the right pick here, so I'm going to take that. It ties in with our colours so far. It's a good removal spell. It works well with Untethered Express. So we'll stick with that. Okay. So the options here. Death Dismissal I don't think is very good. It's a very expensive effect. And I'm not big into it, to be honest. Alley Evasion is a nice little combat trick. There's nothing else really here I'm super into. Outland Boar's obviously outside both our colours so far. I mean, we're not necessarily blue, of course, but I'm also not seeing anything else here that makes me want to pull into a colour that isn't blue. I don't think any of the red colour cards here are amazing. I think Alley Evasion is probably the pick here. It's a combat trick. It's not a particularly exciting one, but it triggers Revolt for 1 mana, allows you to replay a spell. I think it is relevant here with the Spire Patrol and the Dawn Feather Eagle. Bastion Inventor is very, very good, but I don't know if we're shaping up to be the artifact deck yet. So our picks then become Implement of Examination or Countless Gears Renegade. I think it's pretty close between these two. I mean, I think Implement of Examination is the better card, but we're not looking like we're improvised yet. Countless Gears Renegade is a strong 2-drop. I mean, a lot of time you will just play it as a 2/2. And you're not too worried about getting the Revolt if you get it as a bonus. I think I'm going to take the Gears Renegade here. I think it's close. I'll go with the Renegade because it fills our curve a little bit better at the moment. Okay. So we've got Lifecraft Awakening, which obviously turns on our Untethered Express, but you know, it's just a solid trick. Conviction is very solid as well. I'm less keen on that, although I have seen it doing good work in other people's drafts. So I think it's worth consideration. I think it's between those two cards. We're not green at the moment anyway, although we certainly could be. Again, I don't see anything else. I think Conviction's probably the pick here. It keeps us on colour, it keeps us open. We're not tied to blue yet, so we shall see what happens there. But yeah, I think that's the pick. I really like Illusionist Stratagem, but Call for Unities also could be the pick here. It's a very powerful rare. It does require a bit of work. The problem is it's a 5-drop that doesn't do anything the turn it comes into the table. I mean, it can get ridiculous later on. It is a 5-drop. It does require that we do some work for it later on, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I think Illusionist Stratagem's probably the pick here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for the Stratagem. I think being able to get a couple of reusable effects is stronger. Okay, there's really nothing here for us in this pick. I guess it's worth looking at taking the cheap implement, even if we don't use it. You know, we could still be red yet. We still don't have a second colour as such. I haven't seen a lot of red come round. I think implement's probably the only pick here for us. I don't think we want take into custody. So we'll take the implement, pop it in the board. Aegis Automaton's very expensive, but it is a wall. Aether Inspector's another 4-drop. I am concerned that we're getting a little bit high on 4-drops. It is Vigilant. You're not always, see, by the time you play a 4-drop and it's a 2/3, it's probably outclassed on board. I'm going to take the Artifact here, just in case we end up in that improvised deck. And see where we go from there. Bastion Enforcer's fine here. Leaving the Dust is also fine, but Bastion, you know, we've got a little bit of a hole here in the 3 converted mana cost slot. So I'm going to take Bastion Enforcer here. It's just a kind of reasonable, solid vanilla gag. We got the other Aether Inspector, we got there, so I'll take it this time. I don't think Negate's particularly playable in this format. It doesn't look like we're shaping up to be black. We certainly aren't necessarily blue at the moment, but Illusionist Stratagem and Spire Patrol, both very good. But if we opened a bomb rare in any of the other colours, it'd be worth considering. Take the Precise Strike here. No, I'm not sure we'll be playing it, but we'll take it for now. And we'll take the Machinations and Forest. Okay, Spire of Industry. I don't think we're looking to be sort of multiple colour. I don't think the Spires, I mean, it's 5 tickets. Again, that's something worth looking at. Hungry Flames, obviously excellent. Very, very good removal spell. Very efficient. Unbridled Growth, very solid, but probably not quite of the power level we need it to be here. There isn't actually an awful lot on our colours here. And I mean, Hungry Flames is probably the best card. I think I'm going to take Spire of Industry. It leaves us open to pick another colour. It's worth a fair few tickets, which is certainly something worth considering. Ice Over, I'm not particularly excited about. Girapur Osprey, I'm not particularly excited about. Spire of Industries, 5 tickets, which is quite a lot, and that's the reason I think I'm going to take it here. Hungry Flames is definitely worth considering, but obviously it takes us off blue, it knocks us off this. Girapur Osprey, I'm not really needing over Spire of Industry, to be honest, so I'm going to take the Spire here. Shram, wow, okay. I don't think we want Shram here. As good as he is, he's very difficult to make full use of in in limited, obviously. I think Feldar Guardian is very good here, allowing us to bounce something like a Dawn Feather Ego, or bounce Caught in the Bright some of our own guys, or bounce Spire Patrol. We do also need to keep an eye on our creature count. So far we've only got 6 creatures. It is another 4-drop, which I am slightly concerned about, although I'm not particularly certain that Aether Inspector will make the cut anyway. Prey Upon's also here, very, very good. Solid removal spell. But yeah, I think Feldar Guardian is pretty good here. I'm going to move the Aether Inspector to the board. I'm not expecting to play it at the moment, especially with another 4-drop in the pool. Ice Over, as I say, not a massive fan. I think the Guardian's the correct pick here. So we'll take that. Okay, Rogue Refiner, very strong card, but I don't think we're shaping up to be green. There's nothing really here in white. Decommission's fine, but a very replaceable effect, and not something we probably want to take quite this early on as a pick. We can't really take advantage of Foundry Assembly. We don't have quite enough artifacts, I would suggest. Iron Crusher is actually very expensive, and the fact that it has no evasion doesn't particularly interest me very much. I think Hinterland Drake's here. It kind of solidifies us in the sort of blue-white flyer archetype. It's a very solid card. I don't think the drawback is particularly relevant in this format. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it ticks all our boxes here. So we'll go for Hinterland Drake and see where that takes us. And that kind of solidifies us fairly solidly in blue-white now. Okay. Restoration Specialist is a card I really, really like. So does Aether Sweeper, actually. So I'm pretty sure blue's open here. There's also the blue implement as well. Restoration Specialist, it's value all the way. I mean, if we can return something like an Untethered Express and a creature, that's very, very solid. So I mean, Aether Sweeper is fine, it's very good, but I'm not sure it's over and above Restoration Specialist. So I'm pretty sure that's the pick here. Audacious Infiltrator is a good card if you're playing the sort of aggro white variants. I don't think we're fast enough to really take use of it. Cruel Finality is obviously very solid, but we're not shaping up to be black here to make most use of it. So I think Restoration Specialist, I'm very happy to have it. It's reasonable stats for its base stats are relatively solid for the cost as well. 2-1 for 2 is not unreasonable. Deadeye Harpooner and another Caught in the Brights. Okay, so this is a very good pack for us. Mobile Garrison is fine. Scrounging Band are there obviously, but we've got Deadeye Harpooner, which is solid in and of itself, but also can remove a creature, very efficient. Aether Sweeper is obviously very good, and it does tie into our sort of blue-white plan. Caught in the Brights is just straight out removal. I think it's between Deadeye Harpooner and Caught in the Brights. I think this is close. This is very close. I think our lack of creatures so far is swinging me towards the Harpooner. Yeah, I think we've got enough ways that we can trigger it. That's the pick here. I think that was a very close pick. Yeah, I'm very confident at this point that blue is the colour we should have been in. Blue-white looks very open. I mean, Hinterland Drake, again, we're just going to take here. It's better than the Osprey. Bastion Enforcer kind of really doesn't tie into our plan. It's not a terrible card. We picked one earlier, but I think Hinterland Drake's where we want to be. Mobile Garrison's, again, just a little bit expensive for what it does, I think. So Hinterland Drake's what we're going to pick here. Just keep on trying to bash in there. I'm not sure about this Aegis Automaton. I'm pretty sure that's... I mean, it is a mana sink, and being able to bounce something like the Harpooner later on, it could be very relevant. So we'll keep an eye on that. We do already kind of have that effect in the deck with the Feldar Guardian, so we'll see what happens there. Okay, what have we got here? Not a lot. Consulate turret, we're not really set up to take advantage of that. It's very, very slow. It doesn't hit creatures. We already have an ally evasion, and I'm not really sure we want to. Dispersal Technician could be relevant. We don't have anything we really want to return at the moment. Filigree Crawler, not so big on that either. I'm going to take the Dispersal Technician, although I'm not confident we're going to be playing it. I don't think it's what we want at the moment. Another Dispersal Technician, another Aegis Automaton, Ether Inspector, Mobile Garrison. I'm kind of wishing we'd taken that second call at the Brights now, because if we had that, it's so much better with Mobile Garrison, you know, having that other vehicle. I guess Ether Inspector doesn't excite me very much. Mobile Garrison is going to work very well with, you know, random 2-drops. I'm going to take the Garrison here. I don't think it's amazing. I'm not sure we're going to be playing it. I think it's probably better than everything else here for us. Ether Inspector doesn't excite me. I've already got one on the board. Okay. So we do have a couple options here. We've got the Girapu Osprey, and we've got the Reservoir Walker. I'm pretty sure the Osprey's just better here for what we're trying to do. Reservoir Walker's not terrible. But we really don't have a way to, at the moment at least, to take advantage of the energy it gives. Osprey we're always going to play. We're not excited about it, but I certainly preferred something like Filigree Crawler, which is quite expensive for, I mean, it is 3 power of creature for 4 mana, but I think the Girapu Osprey is what we need here. I think the Implement of Improvement is what I'm going to take. I'm not sure I'm going to play it, but we do have the Deadeye Harpooner. We don't really have a lot of other ways to take advantage of it at the moment. I don't think gain 2 life, draw a card is worth a card and 2 mana in my deck, to be honest, but we'll take it and see where we get with it. I mean, obviously we do want targets for the Restoration Specialist as well, you know, for taking things back. We'll take Decommission here, and it'll go straight into the board. Having efficient, straight out artifact removal is definitely something that we're interested in. We might not be excited about it, but it's always worth having. We'll just take Negate here. It might be relevant, I can't see it, but we'll take it and see where we go. We don't need another Aegis Automaton. Destructive Tampering obviously could be relevant for the artifacts we have, so we'll take that. Foil Filigree Crawler, but we've got one anyway, so that's fine. And then we'll see where the last pack takes us. Electrostatic Pummeler. Yeah, a card I've had a lot of fun with in Constructed. Not been so big on so far in Limited. So let's look at what our options are here. Filigree Familiar. I really like Ether Theorist, actually, to be honest, just to smooth out your draws. I think it's very solid. Propeller Pioneer kind of ties in with our plan a little bit better, however. I think it's between these 2 cards for this. I'm not particularly excited with either one, to be blunt, but I think it's close between these 2. I really do like being able to filter my draws with Ether Theorist. It's a card I'm very keen on. Do we have a decision to make here? We are considerably more white so far. We're also quite glutted in the 3 and 4 drops so far. I think having a solid 2-drop, which is just a creature that we can play, is relevant. So I think I'm going to take Theorist here. I think it's close. I can see the argument for either. I don't think anything else here is really worthy of consideration here. We're not going to play something like Failed Inspection. I think Theorist is the correct pick. Okay, so we've got Ether Meltdown. Okay, this is a better pack for us. I don't think it's amazing yet, but I think it's better. We have Knightbridge Patrol, which I think is much better in this format when we're bouncing things. You can get out of hand very quickly. Eddie Trail Hawk puts our guys in the air, although a lot of guys have flying already. That said, flying something like an Untethered Express can be relevant. Ether Meltdown is an interesting card. Nice combat trick. It's not removal as such though, so you know, they can bounce. I think it's less good than it was because of the ability to bounce things with the likes of Felidar Guardian, Aegis Automaton, I don't think it's as good as it was. I think the pick here is between the Eddie Hawk Trail and the 9th Bridge Patrol. Neither of which I'm particularly excited about, but I think... I'm not too interested in the Sky Skiff either for the same reason we mentioned before. I think I'm going to take 9th Bridge Patrol here. Not a card I'm super excited about, but could be relevant. So we'll grab that and see where we go. Okay, Restoration Gearsmith is very, very good. And could be worth a splash. We have the Spire of Industry. Very powerful effect. I guess the question is, we've got something like Glint-Sleeve Artisan, which is a very solid card. And I guess the question is, do we want to risk messing up our mana to take something like Restoration Gearsmith, which is insanely powerful, but we're already kind of solid white-blue. Thriving Turtle I'm not particularly interested in. I mean, Artisan's a good solid pick here. Fragmentize is also not terrible, but we do already have Decommission in the board, so I'm less interested in it. I think it's between the Gearsmith and the Artisan, and the question is, do we want to go that extra colour with the Spire of Industry? I think maybe we do, you know. I don't know. I think I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to take the Glint-Sleeve Artisan. That tends to be how I build my decks. I tend to go safe, so I think I'm going to take it. Although I can definitely see taking it might be a mistake. Paradoxical outcome. I really wanted that deck to do something at Pro Tour, and it didn't, unfortunately. Whirling Maker's not terrible. It kind of gives you inevitability in the long game if you can get that far. It is very slow and expensive. We've got the big train, Ardara Express. I think Tezzeret's Ambition's the card we want here. I think I'm not massively excited to have it, but draw cards is always good. Pressure Point's not terrible. I'm not sure this deck's aggressive enough to really take advantage of it. So I'm pretty sure Tezzeret's Ambition, just draw some cards, is probably where we want. We probably will have an artifact in play. We need to decide what we're going to be cutting here, but I think Tezzeret's Ambition is where we want to be. I don't think we're going to be playing Dispersal Technician for what it's worth, so I think we can drop that there. Insidious Will. Wow, okay. I think that's the pick here as well. We have Impeccable Timing, which it is removal, but it's not something I'm massively... We are fairly short on removal, to be fair, which is worth considering. We've got the Deadeye Harpooner and Caught in the Bright, so we don't have Heap, so it is worth considering. Insidious Will is kind of removal as well, though, but leaving it for mana seems poor. I think I'm going to take Insidious Will. I mean, we've been playing it pretty safe, that last pick with the Glint-Sleeve Artisan over the Restoration Gearsmith. I mean, we played it safe there. I think Insidious Will has got a higher ceiling than Impeccable Timing. It is kind of removal as well. It can be an absolute blowout for your opponent, so I think I'm going to take Insidious Will. Okay, we've got Herald of the Fair, High Tide Hermit, Dramatic Reversal, or Foil Veteran Motorist, Fateful Showdown. Not massively excited about any of these cards. We're definitely not going to take Dramatic Reversal. Herald of the Fair just kind of is just a guy. He's efficient. He's a strict upgrade to Bastion Enforcer, for example. So we're just going to take him. Fateful Showdown is such a cool card. I really like the design of it. But you've got Sparrowside Infiltrator there. But I think Herald of the Fair makes the deck. It's a level up from Bastion Enforcer if we decide we don't need both of them. So we're going to take it here. I don't think this pack's been massively exciting for us so far, but we will take the Herald here. Another Pummeler. Must be one of those days. I think Select for Inspection is probably the card we want here. Appetite for the Natural. I'm surprised that's here quite so late. Very solid pickup, especially I think AER has made, Aether Revolt has made artifact removal a lot more important than it was previously. But I think Select for Inspection is what we're going to take here. It's a very good effect. So yeah. It can be a big tempo swing for only one mana. The scry is important as well. I think without the scry, it's a much less powerful card, but with scry, we will take that and see where we go. Okay, what have we got here? Well-Fast Wingsmith, I'm not particularly excited about. Another 9th Bridge Patrol, Decoction Module. I mean, we just don't have a way to take advantage of the energy, unfortunately, which is what the problem is there. So it doesn't really do a lot on our deck. I think 9th Bridge Patrol is what we're going to take here. I mean, we could... There's no point in hating something like Spark of Creativity because we're not going to be playing those, the same people that we're sat playing with just now. So we'll take 9th Bridge Patrol and see where we end up. I don't know if we're going to play 2 of them, but we shall see. Another Electrocyte Pummeler. Was that the one from our first pack? Yeah, this is our first pack, I think. So that's the one that's come back round. And there's nothing else here. So we will take it this time and just pop it in the board. We won't be playing it. But it may have some worth down the line when we come to sell it on or something like that. So we'll take the Pummeler here. Wild Wanderer's Sword. I don't think this pack's been particularly strong for us, to be honest. We have ended up with, I think, a fairly middling deck at the moment. It's certainly not terrible, but not something I'm particularly excited about either. Eddie Trailhawk is solid here. But I'm looking at what we want to make fly. Are we really that excited about making, certain creatures fly? I think I'm going to take it. I think there can be an argument made for Ardara Express for late game. I'm going to take the Eddie Trailhawk, but it's close. So we've got a choice between Thriving Turtle and Ruinous Gremlin here. We're obviously not going to play the Ruinous Gremlin, but destroying a target artifact could be relevant against us, except of course we're not, as we mentioned earlier, we won't be playing with these guys. So I'm going to take Thriving Turtle. I'm absolutely fine with that. I don't think we'll play it, but I'm going to take it. I don't think we're going to need the Spire of Industry either. Pressure Point, I don't think this deck needs. I know it's in our colours, but I'd rather take the Wayward Giant here. I think we are, of course, again, we're not hating, so yeah, we'll take Pressure Point. I don't think we play it, but we'll take it. We don't have to worry so much about playing somebody with Wayward Giant around this table, playing other people. Neither of these creatures we're excited about. Okay, I don't think our draft went amazingly. I also don't think it was awful. We'll see where we end up. Okay, so pull this up here so you guys can see it a little bit better. And then we will sort by okay, so let's remove the Spire of Industry and the Plains, obviously. I don't think we want Thriving Turtle. I'm not sure we want the Implement either, to be honest, but we'll see about that. Pressure Point, I don't think we're going to be playing. We're definitely not going to be playing Dramatic Reversal. Let's group creatures separately here so I can get a proper look at it. We're not going to be playing Pummeler, we're not going to be playing Workshop Assistant. And then we need to start making some more strict cuts. I don't think we want Aegis Automaton. Let's see what we would want to bounce. We'd want to bounce Harpoonist, obviously. And be able to do that repeatedly later on in the game is a reasonable consideration. Spire Patrol as well. We'd want to bounce Dawn, Feather, Eagle. We'd potentially want to bounce. We'd want to bounce our own creatures that are caught in the Brights, for example. Bouncing with Night Mission Patrol. Well, I'm kind of talking myself into it here. I feel like Aegis Automaton could do really solid work later on, now we come to think about it. I'm not super excited about, I don't think Mobile Garrison makes the cut. It's not a card I'm particularly excited about. We can afford to cut creatures here, I think. We've got 17 creatures at the moment. So, I mean, Implement of Improvisation, I think, is worth keeping in. Perhaps not. It is a very bad card. I mean, it cycles for 2 mana, I suppose, which isn't isn't the worst. I think Bastion Enforcer can probably afford to go here. And we got the upgrade with the Herald of the Fair. We probably can afford to cut a 2-drop here as well. I think a single Ninth Bridge Patrol is fine. That takes us down to 24, but I'm pretty sure with this deck we want to have the 17 lands. We don't have the card draw that I would have liked. I mean, obviously the Implement can draw a card early on, select for inspection, scries 1, and we have the Ether Theorist. We might be okay. We do have a lot of 4-drops. We do have 5 4-drops, which makes me think we probably need to drop down to 17 land. And I definitely would rather be. I tend to, when I build decks, I tend to focus more on ensuring that we have our land drops. So let's just make that a little bit bigger. We need to cut something here if we're going to go down to 23 and 17 land. I guess the question is what we cut. Countless Renegade I like. Eddie Strock Hail is perhaps worth consideration, especially when we don't necessarily have the way to take use of the energy, and we have a lot of flyers anyway, you know, flies. I think I'm going to cut the Eddie Trailhawk. It's a tough call. I think we have a lot of flying already, but given we don't really have a way to take advantage of the energy, I do wish we had a little bit. I mean, it could be that we cut the Implement, but we have the Conviction, which we can then use to trigger. You know what? I think I like that more actually. I think I like running the Eddie Trailhawk and cutting the Implement, knowing that we have the Conviction to regularly trigger Revolt for the likes of the Deadeye Harpooner. It's a bit of a control deck. It's not the kind of deck I would normally build, to be honest. We didn't really get. We've got the Untethered Express, which is obviously very solid. We've got the Dawnfeather Eagle. I would have liked a bit more power in terms of a finisher. I don't think we got that necessarily. But yeah, I don't think this is terrible. I think it's a Midland deck. I'd be disappointed if, I don't think it's a 3-0 deck. Maybe we can scrape out 2-1 with it. We shall see. We need to add some land to this, so let's see what Modo recommends for that. Okay, so let's say 9 and 8, and actually I think it could be right this time. We definitely want more white, obviously, but I think it is a 9 and 8 deck. So let's add that. We shall save that, and we will wrap this up here. Hopefully you'll join me for round 1, and we'll see how we get on with blue-white flyers, I guess. Hopefully you'll stick around for that, and we'll see where we get. Catch you then.